Facebook. So it's Wacky Wednesday, and I thought I would bring you a little something wacky today. But I do have a reason for bringing you wacky because it's an important message for all of us. Hey Kathleen, how are you today? How do you like my little Old English dog outfit here? And I actually have pants to match. Made it myself. Hey. So this is a costume I made for a special event a few years ago called the Spouses Dining In, which is an event that allows spouses at a military base to get together in costume with theme and have a fun night out and build camaraderie. So that's what this is, because I knew there would be questions. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. So we have this Wacky Wednesday thing, right? I'm not sure which came first, Wacky Wednesday or Hump Day, but to me, they're sort of in the same category. I feel like we have Hump Day because we had Wacky Wednesday. So I would just like to know, for those of you that are on, so what is it about wacky? Like, what does wacky mean to you? So I'm gonna give you a second to come up with your own word. I don't want to feed you the words I thought or that lead into my next point, because that would be cheating, but I will. So we have this Wacky Wednesday, and I always wonder what people really think Wacky Wednesday is. Like, for me, I think it's funny, but I feel like yes, thank you, Kathleen. So silly, unusual, which was actually a word I had written here. See, unusual, mind meld right there. So unusual. And then if you're listening, so if you happen to watch the recording, please feel free to chime in with your words, or you can drop a 1 in the comments if you sort of think of, if I was too quick to beat you to the punch. Unusual, or surprising, or unanticipated, or maybe even scary. All right, so I sort of feel like these are all the things I get when I watch people do Wacky Wednesday stuff and things they're asking for. Yep, exactly. Awesome, thanks Kathleen. So what then leads me to ask is, why do we do these things on Wednesday? Why is it just Wednesday that we do Wacky Wednesday? Hey Robert. And I'm wondering if it's because these things, Wacky Wednesday is unusual or a little bit scary for people to do on a normal basis. That when Wacky Wednesday is like a permission day, right? We have permission to be a little bit more silly or goofy or try something we've never tried before because everybody else is doing it, and you can fall back on Wacky Wednesday. And I wonder about that. I mean, do you think that's true, Kathleen, if you're still on? Do you think that's true that people will do these things on Wednesday because it's sort of like a permission, or because it's a little bit more acceptable? So if you're still here, go ahead and answer. If not, that's fine. I'll move on. And if you're watching the recording, please feel free, like, drop a 2 in the comments if that's what you think, that we do these things on Wednesday because like everybody's doing it, we sort of have permission because it's Wacky Wednesday. Someone's asked us to. It's safer, right? So I think what it comes down to is sort of this fear, right? This fear that we can't just do these things all the time because we want to be funny or silly or try something new. And that's really interesting to me because I'm thinking, well, what if we were allowed to be wacky every day? And what are the things that we're not doing every day because we're a little bit afraid that it's not safe to share or to try these things? So I just wanted to, like I said before, this costume is one that I made for a Spouses Dining In. And when we were all able to get in costume, we had a lot of fun and we cut loose, and it was a permission to be a little bit more lighthearted and to be a little bit more unanticipated. Right, not afraid to be judged. Yeah, exactly. Which makes my heart sad because there are so many things we don't do when we're afraid we're going to be judged. So that's why we would have the spouses dining in. And sometimes this would not only just allow ladies to get out and build camaraderie, but also some of them just getting out for the first time to build friendships. And this was when I was in Germany and overseas, and we're all well disconnected from our families by at least a time change of 7, 8, 9 hours, or a little bit. I guess if their family was on the East Coast, then that was a little bit less, but it was hard, and we were really could be disconnected. And so this was one of the ways we try to break that shell. So I guess my next question is, why then are we so afraid to be wacky all the time? And like you said, Kathleen, fear of being judged. What about anybody else? Fear of failure, fear of rejection. Rejection stings like a mother. I'm not gonna lie. And as someone who has practiced being wacky, dang, it does hurt. It does hurt to be rejected, but that's okay. Like, you learn from that. You learn that maybe those just aren't your people. Or maybe you learn that, you need to make some changes to yourself if you're not happy with who you are. So, but what I want to challenge is try to be wacky a little bit every day. Try to do that thing that you would normally hold up on because you're a little bit afraid of judgment, or you're a little bit afraid of rejection. And I promise you, as a wacky extraordinaire, that the more you practice, the more you realize that every time you try is not going to be a failure or a judgment. There will actually be successes. There will be times when you make people laugh. There will be times when you make friendships that you're not expecting. There will be times that you are successful because you tried something, and you'll soon learn that it's actually worth the very little gamble to be wacky every day in order to, experience that success and practice success. And it gets easier. And when you do get rejected, that gets easier too, because you're just like, okay, I've done that, I lived, I can move on. So, all right, so what I want to know for those of you, and meanwhile, I had to turn on the fan. It's a really bad idea to do this in August because it's hot. In Germany, it was nice and cool, so I could do it, except when we were dancing around, then it was hot too. So I challenge you, I would like to know how you are going to be wacky someday this coming week, not on a Wednesday. You cannot do it today because technically people give you permission on Wednesday. So what wacky thing, or what scary thing, or what unusual thing are you going to do this week to possibly fail, possibly be rejected, or possibly learn something incredibly new and have a great time? So if you are watching the recording, please leave that in the comments. Kathleen, if you're still on, please leave it in the comments, and I will come back later and chat with all you guys. So have a wacky Wednesday and have a wacky rest of the week.